The sun above planet Deveran wasn't like Earth's. It was angry, burning red, and always watching. Jack wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stepped off the old space shuttle. The dry wind hit him like a furnace. Dust filled his mouth. He coughed. "Welcome to Deveran," the shuttle pilot said with a grin. "Good luck staying alive, human." Jack forced a smile. "Thanks, I think." He had no choice. Earth jobs were gone, and he couldn't pay rent on Mars, so he took a contract, live cheap, work simple, survive. The ad said, "Room available on Deveran. Desert planet, quiet, safe, friendly landlady, rent only 20 credits month." Jack didn't care who the landlady was. He just needed somewhere cheap. He dragged his small bag across the cracked ground toward a dusty building. It was made of dull gray rock, shaped like a giant snail shell. The door creaked open. A tall alien woman stood inside. Her skin was dark bronze, with rough lines like cracked stone. Two glowing eyes studied Jack. "You're the human?" she asked, her voice deep and dry. Jack nodded. "Yeah, Jack Carter. I messaged you." The alien woman nodded. "I am Vesda. I own this house." Jack smiled politely. "Nice to meet you." Vesda didn't smile back. "You must follow 3 rules," she said, lifting 3 long fingers. Jack blinked. "Okay, 1. Do not dig in the sand." Jack nodded. "Sure." 2. Do not spill water outside. It calls things. "Okay. No problem." 3, she said, eyes narrowing. "Do not be naked, ever. Not inside, not outside, not even alone." Jack raised a brow. "Wait, what? Why?" Vesda just stared. "Because it is forbidden." Jack swallowed hard. "All right, got it." She stepped aside. "Follow me." The room was small, hot, and smelled like old metal. The bed looked like a stone slab with a thin cloth on top. There was a sink that barely worked and a fan that made a dying sound. But it was cheap, and Jack was tired. "I'll take it," he said. That night, Jack tried to sleep. The fan hummed. Somewhere outside, the wind howled. Then he heard it rumbling, loud but deep, like something far below the ground. Moving. Jack sat up. Was it thunder, earthquake, or just wind? Then it stopped. He waited. Silence. He lay back down, eyes wide open. The next morning, Jack yawned and stretched. He was alone. He thought, what's the point of a no naked rule if no one's watching? So he took off his clothes and walked to the sink, scratching his belly. About to wash his face, the door burst open. "Human!" Vesda stepped in, carrying what looked like a basket of dry fruit. Her glowing eyes locked onto Jack. She dropped the basket. She stared. Her jaw opened in shock. Then she screamed. "By the sands! Why do you have a mini shy hulud between your legs?" Jack froze. "What? A what?" he shouted, grabbing a towel. Vesda stepped back, trembling, pointing at his lower body. That is a baby sand god." Jack wrapped himself in the towel, panicking. "It's not a god, it's just me." Vesda dropped to one knee. You are chosen. The prophecy. It speaks of one who carries the worm." Jack blinked. "What worm?" That's a human thing. Every man has it." She looked horrified. "Every human has a baby shy hulud?" Jack groaned. "No, it's not a worm." Vesda stood up slowly, eyes still wide. "I must tell the others." "No, wait." "Please don't." But she was already gone. Outside, Vesda ran to a group of aliens near the market square. Jack peeked out the window, still in a towel. Vesda shouted, pointing back at the house. "I saw him. The human. He has the holy worm." The aliens gasped. Some dropped to their knees. Others whispered ancient prayers. Jack stepped back from the window. "Oh no," he muttered. "What did I get myself into?" That night, someone knocked on his door. Jack opened it slightly. No one was there. Just a small bowl placed on the ground. Inside were dry flowers, desert beads, and something that looked like a glowing worm tooth. A note said, "To the bearer of the divine worm, bless us." Jack shut the door slowly, heart pounding. I need to get off this planet. But deep down, he knew it was already too late. The next morning, Jack opened his eyes and froze. His floor was covered in gifts, baskets of dried fruit, shiny shells, and even a glowing red crystal. A long scroll was stuck under his door, tied with golden string. Jack picked it up and read, "To the Holy One, who carries the worm of the desert god, may your sand be never dry." He groaned. This is getting worse. He walked outside in full clothes this time, jeans, shirt, boots. Nothing worm-like was showing. But the moment he stepped into the sunlight, the aliens around him bowed. A child pointed. "Look, it's him." A whisper spread like wildfire. The human. The sacred carrier. An old alien woman threw flower dust at his feet. Another tried to touch his shoe and fainted when she did. Jack turned around fast, but Vesda was already waiting behind him. She wore a long black robe, face covered in a golden veil. Her voice was calm and proud. "You walk among us, human. Do not be afraid. The people honor you. Honor me?" "Vesda, I was naked and you." She raised her hand. We do not speak of sacred moments so carelessly." Jack shook his head. "It's not sacred. It's just human biology." Vesda tilted her head. "Biology or blessing, what is the difference, if both are rare and powerful?" Jack stared. "You're serious?" She nodded. "I have told the cult of the sand." "The what now?" She turned and walked. "Follow me." Jack didn't want to, but he also didn't want to be worshipped by accident. So he followed. They walked deep into the rocky hills behind the village. The sun baked the earth. Vesda led him through a crack in the cliff into a long dark tunnel. Carvings lined the walls. Ancient drawings showed a giant worm bursting from the sand. A being stood in front of it, arms open, legs bare. "Oh, come on," Jack whispered. "Why is he naked too?" Vesda lit a fire crystal. "This is the story of the desert goddess. She was given a gift by the skies, a child who held a worm between his legs. That worm could call the sand beasts. It could control the dunes. The child became a god." Jack raised a brow. "Are you saying you think I'm that child?" Vesda looked serious. "I do not know. But the signs are there." Jack pointed to himself. "I'm a guy who lost his job and rented a room on discount. I don't control sand beasts." She looked at him. "Not yet." They entered a circular room underground lit by floating crystals. Dozens of aliens stood in robes, chanting in a low hum. In the center of the room was a raised platform made of ancient stone, shaped like a worm's coil. Vesda gestured. "Stand there." Jack hesitated. "What happens if I do?" "They will watch. If the sand below moves, it means the old God recognizes you." Jack blinked. "If the sand moves, I run." "Got it." Vesda stepped aside. He stepped onto the stone platform. Silence fell across the chamber. A cold wind blew up from beneath the ground. Then Dash rumbled. The stone shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ground growled like something massive was turning below. The cult began chanting louder. Jack stepped back. "Okay, test over. I believe you." But it wasn't over. From one corner, a loud crack rang out. A section of the floor split, and from it, a worm-like creature rose, glowing from within. Its mouth opened, but it made no sound. The cult dropped to their knees. Vesda whispered, "It is a sign." Jack shouted, "It's a monster!" The worm slithered across the ground and stopped. In front of Jack, it sniffed him, if that was even possible. Then it lowered its head like a bow. The cult gasped, "He is the worm bearer." Vesda was wide-eyed. It has never bowed before. The worm turned and vanished back into the ground like it had never been there. Jack stood frozen, legs shaking. "I need water," he said. Outside, Jack sat on a rock, drinking from a bottle. Vesda sat beside him. "I didn't ask for this," he muttered. "I know," she said. "But perhaps it asked for you." Jack looked at her. "Are you going to keep worshiping me?" "No," she said. "I think I will protect you now." Jack frowned. "From what?" Vesda's voice dropped to a whisper. "Not all in the cult will accept you. Some waited for centuries. They will not share their God with a human." Jack stood up. "Okay, now I really need a better room." Vesda looked serious. "You need more than that. You need to survive." Jack was dreaming of spaghetti. Big, thick, dancing noodles. Until one of the noodles grew teeth. It opened its mouth wide and hissed. "He's the false one." Jack jerked awake, heart racing. His eyes shot open. Darkness. Heavy breathing. Not his own. Someone was in the room. He grabbed the nearest object, a spoon, and whispered, "Who's there?" No answer. Then movement. A figure darted toward him. Jack swung the spoon with all his might. Clang! The figure cried out and fell. "Wait! Wait! It's me!" A voice hissed, "Vesda?" Jack gasped. She stood up from the floor, rubbing her head. "You hit me with a spoon. You broke into my room." "I didn't break in. I melted the lock." She held up a glowing tool. "There was no time to knock," Jack sighed. "Why are you sneaking into my room at night?" Vesda looked deadly serious. "They're coming," Jack frowned. "Who?" She stepped close. "The inner circle. The high ones, the real leaders of the cult of the sand." Jack sat down slowly. "You mean there's a higher level of this crazy worm worship stuff?" Vesda nodded. "They don't believe you're the true bearer. They think you tricked the sacred worm with some earth magic." Jack blinked. "Like what? Shampoo and pants?" "They are planning something, a test, a trial, a sacrifice." Jack stood. "Okay, nope, I'm done. Pack it up, ship me home." Vesda grabbed his arm. "They will not let you leave." Minutes later, Jack and Vesda crept through the back of the village, moving fast under the cover of darkness. Above them, twin moons lit the sand like silver fire. Suddenly, from behind a dune, 4 robed figures appeared. "Halt, worm-bearer," one of them growled. Jack raised both hands. "Look, I'm just trying to get back to my discount room and my sad little bed, all right?" The robed alien stepped forward and threw a cloth sack over Jack's head. "Hey, not the face!" Jack shouted. When the sack came off, Jack was in a deep underground chamber. Torches burned. Strange symbols covered the walls. 12 robed aliens sat in a circle. In the center, sand. Pure, untouched sand in a large pit. A tall alien, older than the rest, stood and raised a curved staff. His voice echoed, "Human, you have been brought before the worm circle. Your body holds the sign, but your soul must be tested." Jack squinted. "What kind of test?" "You must call the worm. Not a small one, not a temple creature, but the great one burrower of the deep." Jack laughed nervously. "I don't even know how to call a cab." The high one ignored him. "If the great one comes and spares you, you are chosen. If not, he didn't finish the sentence. "He didn't need to." Vesda stood behind the circle, eyes filled with worry. Jack was pushed toward the center. The sandpit. Jack took a breath and stepped in. It was soft. Warm. Too warm. The high one lifted his staff. "Begin." Jack stood still. Everyone was silent. The sand shifted slightly beneath his feet. His heart pounded. "Come on. Think. Think. What do giant alien worms like?" He cleared his throat. "Oh, hutcha. Great worm of the sand. I bring you respect, peace, and a protein." Nothing, then. A sound. Deep. From under the earth. Boom. Boom. The sand trembled. Vesda gasped. It's answering. The walls cracked. Dust fell from above. Then, from beneath Jack, the sand exploded. A massive worm rose from below 20 feet wide, glowing veins across its body, mouth like a black hole full of teeth. Jack screamed. Nope, this is too much. He jumped out of the pit and rolled onto the stone floor. The giant worm hovered above, mouth opening wide. Then paused, turned toward the circle of high ones. It growled, then lunged not at Jack but at them. The worm circle scattered in panic. Robes flew. Sandstorm wind blew through the chamber. One high one screamed, "It's angry. We tested the wrong one." The worm slammed its body down, shaking the ground. Jack grabbed Vesda's hand. Now would be a great time to run. They dashed through a side tunnel as the temple behind them collapsed. Outside, covered in dust, Jack panted. "That was the worst night of my life." Vesda smiled a little. "You survived the trial of the Great One." Jack looked at her. "Survived? That thing nearly ate me." She placed a hand on his shoulder. "But it didn't." He paused. "Yeah, why didn't it?" Vesda's eyes narrowed. "Maybe ... It knows you are not the false one after all." Jack looked at the rising sun. "Next time," he muttered, "just knock." The tunnel shook. Like the planet was holding its breath. Sand spilled from the cracks above. Jack ran. "Don't stop." Vesda shouted behind him. "I wasn't planning to." Jack yelled, panting, as the roar of the giant worm echoed behind them. A long shadow moved through the walls, following. The creature wasn't done. They turned a corner and reached a narrow stone bridge over a deep black pit. Ancient bones were scattered below. Vesda hesitated. Jack grabbed her hand. "No time for fear. Move." They sprinted across. Halfway, the bridge groaned. Crack. A piece of stone broke off and fell into the pit. No sound, no bottom. Vesda glanced back. The sandworm crashed into the chamber behind them. Its massive body squirmed and slammed against the entrance. Jack and Vesda dived forward as the bridge collapsed behind them. Dust exploded in their faces. They lay coughing, breathing hard. Then silence. Only silence. The worm was gone. They crawled into a side cavern. The air was thick and hot. Jack dropped onto a rock, soaking in sweat. "I hate sand," he said. "I hate temples. I hate worms. I even hate your stupid—" Vesda held up a hand. She leaned her ear to the ground. A faint sound, scraping. Breathing. "They're still hunting," she whispered. "The cult." Jack looked confused. "I thought the worm scared them away." "No," she said. "The high ones ran. But others believers still want to finish what they started." Jack sighed. "Because of what's between my legs." Vesda blinked. "Yes." He leaned back. "This has to be the weirdest week of my life." She didn't laugh. She looked down. "I didn't know they would try to kill you. I only wanted to show them hope." Jack looked at her. "You believed in all this, didn't you?" "I did," she said quietly. "Until you came. Then I saw what real strength looked like." Jack frowned. "I'm not strong. I panic. I scream. I almost peed when that worm showed up." "But you still stood your ground," she said. "You didn't run until it was smart to run." Jack gave a half smile. "Thanks. I think." They followed the narrow passage upward. Hours passed. The desert heat returned. Their clothes were soaked in sweat and dust. Jack's legs felt like jelly. Suddenly like. They climbed out of a crack in the cliff, far from the village. The twin suns burned above. Jack collapsed onto the sand. "I'm never going underground again." Vesda scanned the horizon. "We need shelter. And fast." Jack pointed to a broken stone structure nearby, like an old watchtower. They rushed toward it. Inside, it was quiet and empty, half buried in the sand. Vesda sealed the door with a heat lock. They sat on the ground. Silence. Breathing. Then Jack said, "Why did the worm bow to me?" Vesda shook her head. "Maybe. It smelled something inside you. Something old. Something true." "That doesn't help," Jack muttered. She looked at him seriously. "Jack, the sandworms only bow to one kind of being." He waited. She whispered. "The one who carries the fire seed." Jack raised a brow. "That sounds like a weird compliment." Vesda looked away. "It means power that creates life. That shapes the world." Jack blinked. "So you're saying I'm fertile?" Vesda gave him a sideways look. "Very." Jack threw his hands up. "Great. I almost got eaten by a sand monster because I have healthy swimmers." She smirked. "Not many aliens can say that." Suddenly, the heat lock blinked. Red dot movement outside. Someone was coming. Jack grabbed a rusted metal rod. Vesda held a small pulse dagger. Shadows moved past the windows. A voice called out, "Give us the false one, or burn with him." Jack whispered. "How many?" Vesda peeked out. "4, maybe 5. "We can take them," Jack said. She gave him a look. "With that metal stick?" Jack looked at the rod, then smiled. "No, but I have Earth tech." He opened his bag. Inside, a signal beacon, a solar flare grenade, and a small hologram projector. He turned to Vesda. "Get ready to run." She nodded. Outside, the cultists crept forward. Then suddenly, a giant glowing Jack appeared on top of the tower, 20 feet tall, eyes blazing red. The illusion shouted, "I am the worm bearer. Touch me and your flesh will turn to sand." The cultists screamed and scattered. Jack and Vesda bolted out the back and vanished into the dunes. As they ran, Vesda laughed breathlessly. "You tricked them," Jack grinned. "Never underestimate cheap Earth gadgets." She looked at him. "I think I'm starting to like your kind." Jack smirked. "Just wait till you see our microwaves." The alien child stared at the old screen. A blurry image flickered. A human man, dirty, tired, holding hands with an alien woman. Behind them, fire and broken towers. The child pointed. "Mama, is that the worm man?" The mother's eyes went wide. "Yes, that's him." She reached to turn off the screen, but it was too late. The entire camp had already seen in the middle of the desert. Jack and Vesda hid inside a cave shaped like a broken skull. Sandstorms blew across the opening, but inside it was calm, too calm. Jack sat against the wall, staring at the ceiling. "So now I'm famous?" Vesda nodded. "They call you the human with the worm of power," Jack groaned. "That name needs serious rebranding." She didn't laugh this time. Her face had changed, more quiet, more worried. He noticed. "What's wrong?" She hesitated, then spoke. "My clan sent a message." Jack raised a brow. "Your clan?" "The Landlady. Family reunion?" She looked away. "My mother, my bloodline. They say I've betrayed our beliefs, that I've given myself to you." Jack's face went red. "Wait, we didn't." She held up a hand. "They don't care about the truth. They care about shame." Jack sat up. "So, now they want you too." "Yes," she whispered. "Alive or broken." As night fell, the cave grew colder. Jack started a small fire using dry roots and a spark stick. Vesda sat near it, arms wrapped around her knees. "I used to believe in the great worm," she said softly. "I prayed to it as a child. I offered water to the sand. I waited for signs." Jack stayed quiet, listening. "But when I saw you," she continued, "not glowing, not floating, not divine, just confused and human, I started to question everything." Jack poked the fire. "That's what humans do. We don't float. We fall, a lot." She smiled weakly. "But you always get up." He looked at her. "So what now?" She stood and pointed to the stars. "We run to the edge of the scorched valley. There's a smuggler port there. If we make it, A human patrol ship comes by every 2 cycles. They'll take you off-world. Jack nodded. And you? She didn't answer. The next morning, they moved fast. No roads, no signs. Only dunes and shadows. Bird-shaped drones circled. Above, Jack ducked every time. Suddenly, a sharp sound, like a scream made of metal. Vesda grabbed his arm. Run! Laser blasts hit the sand beside them. 4 desert hunters chased them on hoverbikes, her people. Their faces hidden behind bone masks. Spears lit with red plasma. Vesda turned and fired her pulse dagger. One bike exploded in a fireball. Jack ran harder, gasping. Are these your cousins or something? They are, she shouted. And they really hate you. Great family. They reached a sharp cliff and had no choice. Vesda jumped. Jack followed. They rolled down a steep sandslide and landed near a buried ruined metal wall sticking out of the ground. Jack coughed. Is this safe? Vesda looked around. It's older than memory. Pre-cult, pre-worm. Jack touched the walls. Symbols, not alien. Not from her people, more human-like. What is this? He asked. Vesda stared. I don't know, but it feels familiar. She looked at him. Like something calling you home. Suddenly, the hoverbike gang arrived above the cliff. Jack and Vesda ran inside the ruins. As they moved deeper, the air changed cooler, calmer. Lights blinked. Doors opened. The ruin wasn't dead. It was alive. Inside a chamber, a message flashed. In English, genetic link detected. Human code confirmed. Welcome, Terran traveler. Jack stepped back. What the hell? Vesda read the symbols slowly. This place knows you. Jack turned to her. I think it's human tech. Really? Old, before Earth fell. Footsteps echoed behind them. The hunters had entered the ruin. No time. Jack pressed the panel beside the door. It slammed shut just in time. But now they were trapped inside, with ancient tech, secrets, and no way out. Vesda looked around the room. Eyes wide. If this is Terran. Maybe we can call your people from here. Jack touched the glowing console. Or maybe we'll wake up something worse than worms. The metal walls breathed, not like machines, like lungs. Jack stepped back as warm light pulsed through the floor, soft and golden. It lit up faded writing on the walls, in a language only one person in the room could read. English. Vezhd. A single quote's voice trembled. This place is not alien. Jack touched a panel. A soft female voice echoed from nowhere. Welcome, human. Last survivor. This station is your inheritance. He stared. Wait, what did she say? The voice continued. This outpost was buried 5,000 cycles ago. Terran genetic link confirmed. You carry the spark, Vesda whispered. Spark. That's what my people call the worm flame, the holy fire. Jack turned slowly toward her. You think I'm some worm god? But this place is just old human tech. She stepped closer to the walls. No, it's more. It was hidden beneath the sands for a reason. A nearby panel lit up. A hologram appeared, showing a tall human wearing armor. He stood beside a sandworm, hand on its head like it was a pet. Vesda gasped. That's the first rider, the one from the stories. Jack stared. That's a human. The system spoke again. Project Burrow. Human xenosymbiosis. Control through biological imprint. Symbiosis? Jack repeated. You mean humans used to ride those things? Vesda nodded slowly. The myth said a god controlled the worms. But he wasn't a god, he was you. Jack stepped back, stunned. This was no accident. His body, his biology, it was calling to the worms, because long ago, his ancestors designed it that way. The console blinked red. Threat detected. 5 hostiles approaching. Weapon systems damaged. Evacuation required. Vesda pulled out her dagger. Your people had machines, but no defense. Jack sighed. Sounds like humans never changed. She looked at him. But one human survived, you. He shook his head. No, I'm not a hero, I'm just lucky. You're not just lucky, she said. You're the first one in thousands of years to wake this place up. Double quotes, suddenly dash boom. A blast shook the outpost. The door behind them dented inward. They were found. The hunters were trying to break in. Again. The system spoke. Genetic control. Link active. Choose a defense system. A glowing circle appeared on the console. It showed options. Sand tunnel. EMP trap. Bio-lure. Jack smirked. Let's see what Earth left behind. He tapped bio-lure. Outside. The sand rumbled. Same deep, ancient growl echoed through the dunes. Vesda's eyes widened. You didn't. I did, Jack whispered. Outside, the hunters turned toward the shaking desert. They raised their weapons, but nothing could prepare them. The sand exploded. A massive worm larger than any before burst from the ground, roaring. Like thunder. It didn't hesitate. It swallowed one hunter whole. The others ran in terror. Inside the ruin. Jack and Vesda watched it on the HOLO-screen. VEZHDA whispered. You called the Great One. Jack blinked. No, I commanded it. Moments later, the worm circled the station, then lowered its head and stopped moving. Waiting. Obeying. Jack stared. It's like a pet, Vesda corrected him. No, it's not a pet, it's a partner. That's what the old stories meant. The system confirmed. Burrow-class worm bonded. Genetic lock complete. Status writer accepted. Jack looked at his hands, then at her. Why me? She smiled. Because your people built what mine could only worship. He chuckled. That's kinda sad and awesome at the same time. She touched his arm. You don't have to run anymore. He looked at her seriously. I don't want to run. But I don't want to lead a worm cult either, she smiled. Then build something better. A new path. You're not just the past, Jack. You're our future now. Dust blew over the silent dunes. The cult stood in full formation, over 50 strong. Robes flapped in the wind. Spears buzzed with plasma. Banners waved, marked with the ancient worm symbol. The new high priest raised his voice to the sky. Bring out the false one, the fake god, the human who defiled our sacred belief. He pointed to the buried outpost below. Tonight we take back what is ours. But something was wrong. The sand moved. No wind, just movement. IAVA vibration building. Under their feet, one cultist shouted, "The worm!" "It's coming," another whispered, "but we didn't call it." Then the ground exploded. Not one worm. 3. The smallest one shiny. Fast and loud circled the camp. The second one rose like a tower, but it was the third. The biggest that silenced the desert. It was ancient. Covered in glowing veins. Its mouth wide enough to swallow a ship. Atop its head stood a human. Dust dash, covered. Sunlit. Confident. Jack. Gasps spread through the cult ranks. He wore armor now old but still shining. Beside him stood Vesda, holding a banner torn from the cult itself. Jack's voice rang out, powered by ancient speakers. "This worm isn't your god. It's my partner." The cult leader snarled. "You mock us. You stole the sacred beast." Jack shook his head. "No. My people made peace with them before your people ever saw them." He pointed at the crowd. "You turned truth into fear. Faith into chains. You call me a false god? Then watch what a human can really do." He raised his hand. The worm roared. The sand split open, swallowing cult spears and tents. The cultists broke formation. Screams. Running. Desert. Chaos. One brave warrior charged at the worm with a flaming blade. Jack leapt down and met him face to face. The alien swung. Jack blocked it with a metal rod and flipped the warrior into the sand. "Still think I'm fake?" he said. The warrior crawled back in fear. Meanwhile, Vesda walked up to the stunned cult leader. He glared at her. "You were one of us." "I was," she said. "But I followed truth, not fear." She raised her dagger. He backed away. "You'll be remembered as a traitor," he spat. She smiled. "Good." By the time the sun began to fall, the cult was broken. Some ran into the dunes. Others dropped their robes and begged forgiveness. The Vorms retreated into the sand-silent guardians once more. Only one remained above the surface, Jack's worm, the one who chose him. Later that night, Jack stood beside the ancient outpost, looking at the stars. Vesda joined him, quiet. She whispered, "They're calling you Wormkin now." Jack chuckled. "Better than mini shy Hulud guy," she smiled. "They want you to stay, teach, lead." Jack looked at the desert. "I'm just a guy with an accidental worm problem. I didn't come to lead anyone." She touched his shoulder. "But you did, with heart, not fear." He looked at her seriously. "What about you?" She shrugged. "Landlady's job is open again. Rent's still cheap." Jack grinned. "Any discount for worm whisperers?" She leaned in, her voice soft. "For you, lifetime free stay, as long as you stay human." Jack looked into her eyes. "Deal." Above them, the stars blinked. Below, the worm rested in the sand, guarding its new rider, and the desert finally slept.